I can't do it.
Yeah.
Non-administration.
And that's probably something, that's probably something for construction.
Yeah. Hey, you don't need to sign on televised. How much was it?
Up to 30.
I think the one that goes to the family was for.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Chrysler.
Here.
Eddie.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Stevens. Here. Scott.
Here.
Smith. Here. Garrett. Beeson. Here. 7 aldermen present. Garrett absent.
Okay, we'll begin with consent agenda items, approval of minutes of previous meetings, payroll, and disbursements.
Motion approved, consent agenda item.
Second, any questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Eddie.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Beeson. 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, we have some project updates, Park starting with Pitt and Associates.
Hi, I don't get to see you guys very often. My name is Stephanie Ballinger. My colleague Ben and Cameron come a lot more, but I've been assisting the city with the East Sixth Street resurfacing project. And today's agenda item for consideration is just to be able to execute the joint agreement between IDOT and the city. So the city has requested through IDOT federal funds, surface transportation urban funds to help pay for the project in the amount of $110,000. And this joint agreement is just saying that the city will be paying for the rest of the project construction with a combination of RBI MFT dollars and local funds, however they want to split it up. So it doesn't commit you to which account you'd like to use it from, just saying that you guys would agree to pay the remaining of the project costs. This will be going on a June levy through the state, so they handle all of the bid opening and all of that kind of stuff. We'll get the results. You guys can review it, but they do all the contracting, so we'll know the actual construction cost after June. But this is what the joint funding agreement is for, so.
Make a motion to pass resolution.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, roll call vote.
I'd just like to make note that Alderman Garrett arrived, about 30 seconds after 7. Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays. That's resolution number 25-18.
Great. And can I just leave these with you? Yep, I'll just need three of the sign sheets.
Oh,
back.
yeah.
And now fit it insert to the rest of it.
I-
Okay. All right.
We got him.
Great.
I'll-
Thank you,
I'll
Steph.
send
Thank
it to
you.
you.
Okay, thanks.
Is that all?
Yeah, that was it.
All right, Seth, anything?
A few updates this month. So starting on the first page of the packet, the CDS grant, so that grant agreement is still waiting on the leverage funding from the IUPA. So the information was due March 31st, hopefully May, June, we find out that Pana made the intended use plan. That's for the 7th Street engineering and the CDS grant, the additional cost for Pana. The Safe Routes to School, we're still waiting on biological clearance. So once we get that, we'll be able to finalize PE1 and the city's completing easements. The OSLAD grant, we did get a debriefing. There were no issues with the application. They simply ran out of money. They gave us some ideas how to improve scoring. They have not released a NOFO for 2025. Once they release that, we will get those updated. Those are typically due in September, the end of September, so we will get that done for the city for the park. On to the second page, the PCO, Public Infrastructure Funding for 7th Street and Grant. That grant agreement's been executed by the city, so we have some plans from Brian for some revisions. We will have a walkthrough here in the next 2 or 3 months, and we probably plan to bid that the second quarter, the end of the second quarter, so we're looking at June, July timeframe for that. And on to page 3, the ITEP. I know I've been telling you this every month, but ITEPs are supposed to be this month. They keep pushing us back. And lastly is DCO application for 2025. So the area chosen is over the 51% LMI and no surveys are required. And we have prepared a set of preliminary plans for submittal to the IEPA for a permit. They've since made that a requirement of the application or it's enough funds. So we have to make sure we have that finished by December. Any questions?
All right, Seth.
All right, thanks for your time.
All right, so we have a weekly three items to go over.
Yeah, just 3 items tonight. One's left over from last meeting. This is the second presentation of the ordinance vacating the alley.
Make a motion to pass the ordinance.
Questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays. That's ordinance number 2016.
The next item is a resolution accepting a water main easement from Tyler Russell and Abby Russell.
Make a motion to pass the resolution.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yeah.
8 ayes, 0 nays. That's resolution number 25-19.
last item is a resolution approving an amended agreement with Nickus Architecture for the plaza development. This comes after a review by the USDA, and they required some additional language for services during construction. And you'll see that is added to the agreement. There was a minor cost adjustment associated with that of $500.
Make a motion to pass that resolution.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Okay, we'll call that.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays, that's resolution number 25-20.
And that's all I have.
I understand Greg has some very exciting presentations.
I'm just gonna pretend like that was serious. Okay, first off, we got a resolution approving a construction management agreement for building renovation and with building maintenance and restoration, Denver Brewer. We were looking for a way to have a guy work for us by the hour that knows what he's doing with historical buildings, and kind of like we do with Reggie Benton on structural engineering, and it took a while, but Steve figured it out, found us an agreement that we could put this, or fit this into a construction manager agreement. The template was 22 pages long, and we beat it down to 13. Basically, it took out, if we have to buy materials, we're gonna do that ourselves, not mark it up through him. If we're gonna rent a piece of equipment, we're gonna do that ourselves, not mark it up through him. So all of that will go, follow our normal procurement rules. If it's this big, we get 3 prices. If it's that big, he inputs the ad in the paper. So this just allows us to have this man and his helper work by the hour, and they'll have to work under, it says task order. I don't know if you want to call it a work order, but somebody up here's got to approve anything he does before he starts, and he's got to give us a reasonable idea of how long it's going to take. So that's what we're looking for. In front of you, just for kicks, is a picture of Walden Pharmacy, like back in the 20s. That building is Indus Pharmacy and Bohannon Jewelry is one building. The front of it is that cast iron and glass facade. That's what's behind that green stuff and that white stuff. So the first place we're gonna try this out is putting him to work, opening that up and getting the windows weatherproof, and then we're gonna take bids on 3 different types of windows. Those windows on the second floor are 11 foot tall, and 6 of them are 3 foot wide, and 4 are like 54 inches wide. So we'll get a price from Pella and a guy that he knows, and I'm gonna try to talk a local guy into working on them, but that's what we're doing this for, so we can shape up a building like that we bought, we're gonna put a roof on. And if you're looking at something like that when we're done, I think we can get better results, have more than one person interested in it. So that's what we're asking for, is a way to work this guy by the hour on projects like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The only thing that I thought of that might be, just that I'd like to know how we're gonna do it, is like, are we gonna like have it inspected first to see like, is he gonna tell us like what the projected total cost is to make sure that it's worth putting effort into it?
We own it.
Mhm.
We bought it for 20 grand, which I think is public knowledge. And we got an estimate, just a rough estimate, it's like 275 to tear it down. So we will do this, we will definitely put a roof on it. I mean, when we bought this place, it was to put a roof on it and save it.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, we will get estimates as we go along.
Yeah, I
Like,
just
if
was
he
kind
tells
of
us-
curious of,
No,
if
you're right.
he's gonna find something that we can't see. It looks, I think it's a good building to do.
Like we talked about, I'm gonna run through there with a laser and see if there is a sag in the second floor, which might indicate there's a sag in the roof, and then we can brace that up from underneath with the beam and stuff like that. And if we need some calculations on that, we got Reggie to do it by the hour. You know, I feel like we're just putting together a team that can make this thing much better than it is now, and something that somebody can make a living in the bottom or the top.
No, I just was curious how we were gonna kind of watch the full amount we were putting into it.
We'll just go at it one piece at a time. You guys will have to approve every piece, and the estimate will be his hours times those dollars on that back page. So we'll have estimates every time we go after it. Every time we open up another door.
Thank you.
Does he have 3 people work for him, or him and 2 others?
If,
Just asking him this.
currently he has one guy, but if that guy is, we gotta use prevailing wage. So if that guy's doing brickwork, it's one thing. If he's painting or something else, or just.
If he's building or.
Yes, yeah, there'll be
Yeah.
different rates for that particular person, or maybe it's some job, it takes 3 guys. You know, those are the rates we have. And they basically just, other than him, they reflect prevailing wage.
Need a motion and a second to approve contract?
Make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions on the contract with Greg? Okay, vote on.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens, Scott,
Yes.
8 0 nays, that's resolution number 25-21.
Now, part 2. Thank you for that. Part 2 is a little weird. The school is, we kind of noticed the school's gonna tear down some schools. Lincoln and Washington are leaving. And they're going to be demolished and leaving the dump truck. And some of the stuff on it, those limestone features, could be salvaged and used in some uptown restoration projects. We don't have a picture of it, we don't have a set plan on where to use what limestone. But we did get a price for a crew of 4 people, 2 pieces of equipment, actually 3, 2 man lifts and a telescoping fork truck to go to, like, say, Lincoln School and take the west entrance and take all the limestone elements out of that. Right now, if you're like me, you don't remember what's even on the building, but there's columns and there's a portico and there's, as you go up 3 floors, there's a lot of stuff that's made out of lime. So we sent a picture of that to a limestone supplier who said it'd be about $72,000 worth of limestone if it was new. And our price to salvage that with this crew, again, this is an estimate. Can they get, how much of it can they get off in a week? But it's $22,000 a week. We are being told they can probably take that whole thing. And then as that, if we made it through that week, then we'd have real answers about what else we could get. And maybe know more about the values of those different things. And then we'd be back up here or talking to the mayor or somebody, seeing if that could be extended. They tear the things down in the middle of May, they start taking them down. So we're looking at 1 month. If you wait 2 weeks, we'll be looking at 2 weeks. So it's not been to a committee, that hasn't been advertised, we're never gonna have time to advertise and bid. So there's a question for Steve, how would this ever work? But I'm putting it out there, and then the thing's going in a truck and going in a hole. Is that anything anybody's interested in? Would you like to plead a case as to why you want to save any limestone?
My
I mean, we have several development projects downtown where I think these could be incorporated. I mean, just alone the value of them and, you know, kind of what we could get them for is attractive enough, but, you know, we have the entrance to the plaza, we could entertain these columns, you know, something like that. We have one building downtown that, I mean, it's gonna need a complete facade rebuild, we could look at incorporating those into that. Just several projects where we could, you know,
There's
consider
buil-
incorporating these.
Yeah, there's buildings we don't even own that we usually end up getting it if it goes in the hole, if it falls down. I don't know that we wanna name who owns them, but if we end up with them, that particular, it's a duplex and there's nothing on the front of it. It's got barricades by it now, so in anticipation of it blowing out in the street, we've seen the barricades and we were told to put them up by a structural engineer. So we can't draw you a picture of what we wanna do with this stuff. We just, we're hanging it out there to think about, and they start tearing them down in like May the 14th or 15th.
And it's one of those things, you don't really understand what they are until you go and look at them, but they are massive. I mean, what we reviewed look to be all in good quality.
Even if we could steal a bunch of the window sills, those limestone window sills,
Yeah.
like those all got, the ones on the Texan Gaines building that we own, they were terracotta and they were in the way of putting up this sheet metal and somebody hammered them out of the way. So if we had those sitting around in a pile, we might use them sometime. But to say we got a plan and draw you a picture of where we want to use them or anything, we would just be storing them in a place that we think is safe, that's on city property, and waiting for something to do with them.
Does the council want to save some history or send it to the dump? That's what he's asking.
But it would,
Purchased it, where would the funds come
I
from?
don't know how that
You
works.
can take it from business or TIF district because it will be utilized for businesses.
You'd be buying materials for the business district.
I just hope it doesn't sit out city garage for years like the junior high did. We salvaged all the line from that also. We sat out there for I don't know how many years and then it started leaving, I don't know where I'm at.
That's why we're not talking about where we would put it. And that one cornerstone's too big to pick up. So somebody on Facebook's now taking your challenge. But, no, we would, yeah, I don't know. We're just throwing it out there because if we don't say something, then why didn't we say something? So
Do you think it's a good idea?
I could be
If it was
convinced it
you,
was.
if it was you, would you do it? I think that would be good. but-
I think it'd be good to have and you could use it.
Right.
If we can
That's
only
the
get like
intention.
one of these things, then no, but if we could get two of them, we can figure out what to do with them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, and there is a question mark, how much can they take out of there in the first week? And, no, I think it's worth a crack. I don't know what you can sell used limestone for. I'm not telling you that if we don't use it, we can get our money back by selling it. I don't know that.
In this particular case, I think the city is more proactive in redevelopment than it was in 1997 when the junior high burned down. So there's no doubt in my mind it will get utilized if we save it.
So we can't use business district funds on that, can we?
Even
though that's not in the business district?
It's being purchased for that purpose.
Pardon me?
It's being purchased for that purpose. So it's just like buying lumber that you would build something in the business district.
It's materials to be used. I mean, we have, okay, so are you telling him that if we use business district money to take it down, we have to use it in the business district?
I don't know where else we would use it,
Okay.
unless you want to.
I was thinking we could
I don't
put this
really
rhyme for.
Take it home for your rat though.
Yes.
Where are we at on that, Steve, with the legal?
Yeah, that's the mayor's correct. You know, if you're gonna use it in the business district, then you can.
No, I mean, everything else, the bidding or?
Oh, well, the council can waive bids, but you probably wanna set some parameters and, authorize a certain amount of work.
Okay, could you then authorize 1 week, because these, when you rent this lift, you got a weekly rate and you've got a monthly rate, and like 3 weeks is stupid. So I've only looked at it as a week at a time. I don't see any way we do a month worth of this, but, we're not gonna do it a day at a time because the rental rates on equipment are nuts. So we're gonna look at it as weeks, maybe 1 week, maybe 2. And at the end of the first week, or on Thursday or something, we could give you a better idea of what we could or couldn't accomplish in the second week. Do you wanna approve 1 week and give a committee or the mayor or somebody the authorization to say yes or no on the second week? I don't know else how to look at this, but
That'd be the easiest route.
Yeah. Either the mayor and a committee, or the mayor and the purchasing agent. Purchasing director.
Kim,
So, if it rains up, put a damper on stuff,
yes.
take a day away, add a day to the
And
next week.
usually if you have bad enough rain, you can talk the rental people into not counting those rain days.
How much is the rental?
The rent is in the neighborhood of $3,000 a week.
But altogether it's 22 for the
22
5
has got 4 guys' labor in there at prevailing wage.
Now, we've spoke with the school already and.
We have talked to the school and they've given us, Jeff Stouter got on the phone and we got, the next day had, these people have to provide insurance like they would to us. And then they're good to go.
Motion in a second?
I think it'd be a good thing.
Preserve it to try.
I'll make a motion.
Save a lot of money.
For the 1 week, and then we're gonna have, approve it to go forward.
They got a committee. Meet you approve it.
Well, like operations, we're in charge of buildings and all that stuff. Could fall with the mayor and operations.
You wanna put that in a motion, or you just wanna make a motion with it?
Might as well go administration got on it too.
I think that might be.
Can you just call all everybody to take care of that?
Why don't both of you, all 3 of you included?
I don't care.
Well, the only thing with having a committee do is you have to have a committee meeting, you have to get 48 hours notice.
We'll drag it out for
Yes.
purchasing agent and the mayor.
Then report
Or
back
a
to
committee
council.
chair, you can have a committee chair approve it.
We could put in there with no more than $22,000, that way we would be assured of the amount per week.
It's gonna go a week at a time because of that rental alone.
Right.
But I'm saying we could put that in there so that shows everyone we're not gonna raise the price.
Don't do enough in a week.
So when, what,
Go ahead, yeah, I'll make that motion on 22,
with who,
with approval of the 3.
Mayor, that's the 2 chairmans,
Yeah, the finance and the
operations.
operation. Three, make a committee, so,
Okay,
Just the chair.
so that's a,
Just the chair.
and,
I have a second.
again, okay, good.
Go ahead and vote.
Does the government change in the middle of this job? When does that happen?
May 1st. There's not much of a change.
Garrett,
yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
yeah.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, economic development.
All my stuff was with
That
his.
was, okay.
Come on, have to go and talk.
All I have is a special events application. This is for the Pana Panthers 10 youth baseball tournament at Mitchell Park, June 20th to June 22nd. It won't involve any street closures or pavilion needs. It's just baseball diamonds.
Do we have a guy working that weekend for the trash and stuff?
Working? No, it's that.
Just asking, you know, to keep it clean around there on dumping the dumpster.
I mean, not unless you're wanting to pay them overtime. But they should be, the organization should be making sure trash cans are kept, empty and put in the dumpster through the course of the
Okay.
event.
Thank you.
Make a motion for the application.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I do not have anything else.
Tanya? All right, I have 3 items. First, an emergency purchase of a fire hydrant plug for Michael and Oliver Streets from Schulte Supply in the amount of $31.97. This was an emergency purchase for repairs. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Beeson? Yes. Creister?
Yes.
Eddie?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, my second item is approval of a liquor license application for Shastine's Marathon for another change of ownership from one hotel to another hotel, and the prorated fee of $743.29. This is the 300th time we've done this.
Changed every 10 years. Make a motion to approve the application.
Any questions? Okay, roll call.
I got a question. These places like that are constantly changing ownerships. Can we make them stick it for a longer time or something?
That's a Steve question.
No, they can surrender their license and give it
Yeah,
up.
but you know what I'm saying, it's just,
You can impose a transfer fee.
Could do that.
all I'm saying is just getting free.
I don't disagree with you.
Do we really need another liquor license and video game?
Well, this is just a transfer. They're
I know,
transferring back.
maybe do one less, because we step in the right direction for people.
Let's take a roll call vote.
Creister?
Yes.
Eddie?
No.
Schneider?
Yeah.
Stevens? Scott?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yeah.
Beeson?
Yes.
7 ayes, 1 nay for change of liquor license.
The third is approval to create another liquor license. This is a Class B for impulse gaming at the old Cindy's Restaurant at 2517 Route 16 for the fee of $5,000. This is the last one that we have. There are no more, and there will be no more.
No more gaming,
No more parlor licenses. That's
no more
the-
parlor licenses.
There
We're
are-
at a plateau right now, I mean, about the same amount of money as last year or as year before.
It's pretty consistent.
So
Yeah.
we'll be spreading the money around instead of, it's gonna start affecting them.
I don't know about that. I think we get plenty of travel in. It gets irrelevant like that. The license is available. They have made all of the appropriate background check and everything else. I don't see any reason why we should deny anything. I think it should be approved. And it is the last one.
I have a question. So if we've approved the grocery store to have gaming there, wouldn't it be, did that take one of our licenses? It didn't, if they already have liquor there?
Yeah, it's not a
Gotcha.
parlor.
Okay.
There's only 2 others. The other one would be the one that was Harper's. And the other one is the Lucky Jack Lot. Those are the 2 parlors. When we created the parlor license, we limited it to 3 in Pana. So this is the last one that's available. So I need a motion and a second. No one wants to make a motion?
I think it was for
Stick my neck out, I'll make a motion to deny it.
Second.
Motion and second.
Second.
Motion and third, all right, we'll have roll call on that.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays, that's a motion to deny Class P liquor license.
Okay, motion denied. That's all I have, we'll go on to reports of committees, community safety.
Motion to approve Travis Rhodes as a volunteer firefighter. Second.
Second, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Travis. All right, community operations.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve an oversized lake lot A16 for transfer, double fees applied.
Second.
Second, any questions? Okay, roll call.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
Make a motion to approve the bid of Gray Rock Company to replace the curb and gutter at the area of 509 West Third Street with ARPA funds in the amount of $9,850.
Second.
Second, any discussion or questions? Okay, roll call vote there.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
And then a motion to purchase 6 commercial meters from Midwest Meter, an amount of $11,585 to pay from the water meter replacement fund.
Second.
What,
Oh, go ahead.
what this is, we've got some commercial business around town that the meters haven't worked for some time, so they've been estimating. And Brian and I talked about this, you know, there are areas that we're probably losing a lot of money by not having meters that are working. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll have a couple more down the road.
Okay, roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That's it.
All right, administration.
I don't have anything. This item here is already been taken care of.
Oh, well. Community support.
Make motion to approve the changes to the pool for the 2025 season.
Second.
Second. Any discussion or questions? Okay, let's roll call that.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
And I make motion to allow Pana Park Revitalization Committee to fully fund the replacement of the basketball court at Mitchell Park.
Do we know what a concrete slab, I'm asking?
For the basketball courts, the bid that they submitted, or the paperwork that they submitted, discussed taking it out and bringing in more rock and putting it down and pouring concrete.
Okay.
It was, and they can pay for that from their popcorn festival money.
What do the basketball standards look like?
That I don't.
Are they leaving those in place?
You know what, it was, I assumed that they would, but that specifically was not.
Well, put a note in your thing that they're not tearing them out and putting in some $3 thing.
Trash.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You wanna make, okay, so we got a motion and a second, right?
Second.
Take a second on it.
Second.
Second, any further questions for Greg? All right, roll call vote.
Garrett,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler, Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That concludes.
All right, economic development,
Good.
nothing. Negotiations, I will just let the council know that the union has formally sent me a letter stating that they are ready to negotiate for their next contract, so that will be taken. unfinished business, nothing. New business, an approval of sidewalk petition for Father Joseph Adler at 611 Fair Avenue.
Make a motion to approve the sidewalk petition.
I'll second.
Second is for $875.50, so roll call vote.
Beeson,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yeah.
Stevens,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, citizens' opportunity to address the council, Tiffany and Randy Smith for a sewer issue.
Yes, good evening. So we have a property on South Chestnut that has a major sewer issue. So we were coming before the committee to see if there were any grants or any kind of funding that would possibly help us to get this sewer issue resolved. Now, a lot of the work that needs to be done is in the alley, actually, I think across the alley on the other side.
On the backside, yeah.
We've had 3 companies come out. We had Park Sewer Service from Decatur come out. Well, then we had to call Jeff Antler with Antler, their sewer service people. Anyhow, we had Kent, from the city, Kent Taylor came out. And we don't know exactly where the break is at in the sewer line. It could be at the first elbow, which would be fantastic if it was. Or it could be clear to the main, which the main is, like I say, across the alley and anywhere from 15 to 17 feet down. So therefore, that's why we had to get ahold of Jeff Antler, because he's the only one that holds a license that would be able to work in the city of Decatur, because we couldn't find anybody local that had a license that would be willing to come over and even take a look at it for us or give us an estimate of what it would cost. But if that's the case, and they have to go down that deep, it's a substantial amount of money. Like, it's very significant because of all the equipment they have to have and the cage that they have to, put in the hole once they dig that deep. So we just didn't know if there was some kind of funding or any kind of grants that could possibly help us to get this situation resolved. Because right now, we put a hole on our property to open up the sewer so that the people living there can use the sewer. We have it covered up. Plus, we had to get a hold of Coleman to come take care of the tree so that whatever equipment does come in can get in to dig the hole. So, that's
Or even any resources the city could offer as far as somewhere to get rid of this dirt we gotta dig, because they say it's gotta be hauled off, or the rock that it's gonna replace to put back in the hole. We're just asking for some help with this, because
he's saying that they did tell him that it had to be completely filled back in with rock, like no dirt could go back in. I don't know, I must not have been present for that conversation, but.
well, that's how they operate, this Antlers, but that's what they do, is deep dig it in sewer mains.
I can give you 2 other contractors. Did you try Petersburg Plumbing
We do not.
and Burdick in Decatur, both capable of doing that?
Okay,
We would say if you're digging in our alley, we would want it compacted back. Ken will tell you all that.
Right.
Did they stick a camera down it so you can know?
Well, it's completely plugged. We've had a jetter in there, and we've had, rotor-rooted it for like 3 hours, and then they brought in a 4,000 PSI jetter, and they can't get through whatever's there.
And this is like between Walnut and Chestnut in the alley,
Yeah.
but west of Chestnut.
Yeah, it's on the west side of the road.
Yeah. So,
well, like 3 houses south of Save-A-Lot, on the west side of the road of Chestnut.
did Ken tell you how deep it was, or did they look in a manhole?
They looked down the manhole, Park Sewer Service did it, and the manhole, he measured down 15 feet, and he says it runs downhill your direction, so it's deeper than that yet.
Did Kent run his jetter in our
They,
main?
they did on both ends, both ways, they run their jetter, said the main is opened.
We don't own a camera, we're talking about buying one, but we don't have one to help you with that. But it sounds like the lateral, you can't put one through anyhow. Your service line.
Well, we've got new service, or new sewer all the way to the edge of the alley, but we did not dig in the alley when we done our replacement. so it's clay tile that's left.
But I know you can haul your dirt out to our,
Well, that was part of the fee, cause he said he'd have to haul all that dirt all the way back to Decatur to dispose of it.
we'll take it out there at North Elm Street, at our city garage, we'll take it. If that, I mean, surely that
Well, I
would
mean,
help.
his price was around 20,000.
I would have you call these other two people too, but if Kent was here, he could tell us the last time Burdick dug in an alley, they're all in that side of town 15 foot deep. So he
Well,
would
that's why
know.
we was coming to ask for any resources we
Right,
could
cause
get
Kent was out
to
there.
help us with this.
Right, cause that's what Kent estimated.
Okay.
What's sad about the situation is the house to the north of us is only like 6 feet down in,
Cause it dumps off into the main.
and then connects,
And
but
ours
yet,
is the first house off the main.
and it goes down so deep and so far down in the ground, and it's just,
Yeah,
Donnie would like to
Okay.
touch base on this.
so to get everybody straight on this, like, how water and sewer works, is the homeowner is responsible from their house out to where the shut off is. Right, Brian?
On
And we
water.
own from the shut off
On
to
the
the
water
main, on water. On sewer, by our ordinance, and it's been like this forever, they own from their house to the sewer main, and they make the tap, and with, the plumber has to get a permit from the city, and the sewer superintendent has to inspect it. That's how it's always been, and where they're at, it's deep, and I talked to you, and I told you to get old Clancy Coleman, he'd probably be reasonable on trying to dig
He
that
won't
for you.
call us back.
Okay, well, cause that's who we use if we have to, cause like Greg was talking about, we dug down 15 feet here last summer over there by Eric, gosh darn it, Denton's house, and we had, Petersburg Plumbing come in and do that, and they set a manhole for us. But like I told you, there's no funding, that's your responsibility.
Well, we
I
understand
know
that,
it's-
we're not asking the
It's a
city
lot of
to
money, but.
pay for it.
But that's just how the ordinance is, I had to replace my sewer years ago, but it was only like 10 feet, and I had hills to it then. But,
Well,
like I said,
that's
when they
the
dig it
issue.
open, they can haul the stuff at the city garage, but there's, criteria, I know Kent talked to you about this, and I talked to Kent, and Justin and I went out and looked at the site, and I explained to you how the ordinance was. There's really nothing, we can help them, because we do this, what we can, where anybody works on a sewer and has to go to the main, we do it for them, we'll have to do it for everybody. And by ordinance, I'd like to help you, but there's no funds we can help you with.
okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, we're responsible to take it clear to the main and fix it the main. Would it be feasible if there was anywhere to connect closer upward instead of going 15 to 17 feet down? Since it's only like one house north of us, that's closer.
We can't allow two people to use one.
No.
No,
we're
I'm not
saying
asking
that.
to tap into the neighbors,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying to where we can tap into the main where it's closer up to the ground than 15 to
Is
17.
it 8-inch main? The slope on an 8-inch
I'm
main
not
is.
sure what it is, I wish Kent was here, because I know
The slope on an
Kent
8-inch main
thinks
is
it could be-
0.4 feet per
it
hundred.
could be the tap, because when they replaced the sewer a few years ago, Ken told them then, you should replace the line, clear out the main, because otherwise, down the road, you may have issues in that piece, which that's where they're having trouble now. I had the same thing out in my neighborhood, because when I did mine, it was expensive, I had two other neighbors went to the boulevard, and they came back a few years later and had to do what they're doing. And it cost about double what it was when I did mine.
I know that the city doesn't have any grant resources for you directly, and typically, a lot of the grant agencies that we reach out to, typically individuals or business owners, they can't typically be the applicants for grants, but sometimes the USDA does have grant opportunities available for, like if somebody needs home repairs, sometimes they do, like energy efficiency upgrades to homes, so after this is over, I'll get your contact information and we'll look and see if USDA has anything specifically for homeowners with sewer issues and see if we can.
Cause yeah, we even checked into our homeowners insurance, and Of course, it's not covered, obviously, under anything for that, even though we're responsible for it all, but
To answer your question about,
to
is there a
tap in
shallower
closer.
place?
Correct.
That, an 8-inch sewer should be laid at 4/10 of a foot per 100 feet. So you're not gonna go up or down the block and find hardly any difference.
Unless you got to the manhole.
The manhole is probably only, what, 75, 80 feet from our property?
That's a Kent Taylor question. I mean, in general, they'd make you put it, in the old days, when a guy was in the bottom of the manhole, they didn't want stuff hitting him on top of the head. But they would install a drop. You need a plumber and you need Kent Taylor to answer that, because I can't guess how. Do you drain the basement, or you just?
Well, that's how we found it, the basement flooded, so Kent just said dig you a hole, crack a hole in the pipe so it could just leach out and cover it with plywood. So that's just been a temporary fix until we
And did you ask him about putting it in a manhole?
No, we did not.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, we really weren't thinking about it, because we
Right.
had all these other people telling us all these other things, and
Well, there's
the
fiber optic
prices and-
line they just put through there, and everything else is in the way, so.
I mean, I'm not saying that he has authority to do that, but he's the first guy you gotta ask about that.
I would touch base with Kent on that
It,
topic.
it goes against the standard procedure.
And then with Kirby, and if we can point you in the right direction to get you some assistance,
Okay.
she'd be happy to help.
That'd be great, appreciate it,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Mark a question?
Yep.
Can you, what we talked about just a minute ago, can you look into that and send that to Kim or Tanya?
Yeah, I'll look into that. Some cities have a program that they contract with a third-party vendor. Typically, it's some sort of insurance company that, for a small monthly fee, customers can pay for insurance that would cover, these pipes between the city main and their house. And a lot of municipalities do that or offer that. That might be something that you would be interested in offering as well, but I can get some information.
If you would, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Chief?
Just to update you guys on a few things within our department. In the next meeting, we'll be discussing the Axon body cam subscriptions coming up due, which will be in our budget, but our cameras are 5 years old, so that'll be a discussion. The Lexipol subscriptions coming up, which we'll talk later about. We've been in discussion for the last couple of months on upgrading some of our cameras around the building, including even some in the city hall exterior. We're gonna move forward with discussion on the next meeting with that. And then a couple, staffing updates. One, we had an officer who was injured while trying to take a disturbed and dangerous subject into custody in a business. Cut his hand, lacerated his left hand, had surgery. Anticipated to come back in May if everything goes accordingly. But we've also had guys off burning time too, so it's been tough. Couple weeks staffing and overtime. So just update you on that, and then we could probably will have a vacancy in dispatch in May. So we have an eligibility list to replace, but I talked to the mayor today, sent an email out. We'd like to push out any interest in current certified lateral transfers to make the transition smoother, to consider that in the hiring process. So we'll be heading down those roads in the upcoming meetings. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to close.